We are running a live stream through our Facebook page at Griffin. This gets video recorded and put onto a YouTube page where all of our other teaching kitchen videos are. So if you've missed some in the past, you wanted to catch one of the recipes, we normally have it right on our YouTube page. If you go to YouTube, just search Griffin Health, you'll see a list of our videos. So you're at our Center for Healthy Living. I am here tonight discussing a very diabetic-friendly dish, a spaghetti squash stir-fry with chicken and fresh vegetables. We picked this dish, Becca picked this dish in honor of Diabetes Awareness Month. We try to do a health topic every month to feature a trend or something that's relative during or relative to the month. Usually every month during the year you can go through and find a health topic that correlates. Most of us think of January as New Year's resolutions, trying to get a new start off the new year right. It's just an excuse for us to go buy new sneakers, to go to the gym that we use for a week, and we probably stop. But from a health standpoint, we try to highlight different months. So February we do something for heart health related to healthy oils and things as the such. March is National Nutrition Month, and so what we go through the year that way. So for November, in recognition of Diabetes Awareness Month, we are doing a spaghetti squash. So with me this evening, I have Becca Cretella, a registered dietitian at Griffin, and Chef Mike Rizzio from Griffin Health as well. So please ask questions as we go. We love to answer things on the fly. Becca's going to start with her presentation, as she always does, and then we'll get into the demo with Chef, okay? At the end of this, we'll all get a little bit to taste and give him our Siskel and Ebert critique on what we think of it. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Becca.
Hello, everybody. That sounds like a glucose monitor over there. Very fitting for today.
Exactly.
So today we're going to be talking about diabetes and how our diet goes around that. So what is diabetes, right? Does anyone know the differences before we look at the screen? That's okay if we don't. Type 2. She's like, don't look at me. Same girl. Type 2 diabetic right here.
I'm not, it's my husband, but
Smart that you have that on your phone, though.
he doesn't have a cell phone, so it's on mine.
No, that's good. Was it high or low?
It's low, very low. We're going tomorrow.
Okay, calm to have a snack.
No, I know.
Okay.
My daughter's had juvenile diabetes since she was 10 months old.
Oh, wow, okay.
So,
So you know the whole spiel.
7 years.
Wow, okay. So type 2 is a chronic condition. This is where the body does not use our insulin effectively. So this could be if we're eating too much sugar. This could be our carbs in general, where our body can't keep up with the work of the intake that we're having. So eventually our sugars just get higher if we don't do something about it, and that can turn into full-blown diabetes. Type 2 can start off with pre-diabetic and then go to type 2 diabetes. Type 1 is an autoimmune disorder. So like you were talking about, it's when our body attacks the pancreas, so then we can't produce insulin, and then our sugars get out of control. So it's usually when they're children that they get diagnosed, but then they have to take insulin the rest of their lives. And then there's gestational diabetes. So this happens when women are pregnant. It's characterized by an elevated level of glucose in the blood during pregnancy, typically resolving after birth. But my fun fact is if you have gestational diabetes, your child is predisposed to getting diabetes. So my mom did have gestational diabetes, and then I ended up getting diabetes.
My daughter had gestational.
Yeah. So that would be something for...
My son's okay right now, he's 6, but he's not had a problem. They had him in NICU for 3 days
Okay.
to monitor his...
Yeah. So in the future, that might be something that comes
she'll-
up, but
She keeps an eye on it.
it's good. This looks different than what I had before. This is supposed to, I like this one better, but because it has the A1Cs on it. I put both of these into a chart, but I don't know what happened with sending the PowerPoint. This hasn't happened yet. But I just wanted to point out the A1Cs here. So normal is below 5.7, and between 5.7 and 6.4 is called pre-diabetic. This is where you're probably on metformin, you want to watch where you're eating, but then 6.5 and above is considered diabetic. So what is a consistent carbohydrate diet? So when you think diabetes, you think no carbs, right? And each patient that I go to educate, they're like, oh, I can't have any more carbs. We can't have carbs. Carbs are not the enemy. They fuel our brain. But being consistent with carbs is important. So eating similar amount of carbs at meals during the day and consistently throughout the week. Spacing meals 3 to 5 hours apart. This supports energy and appetite control. And it helps prevent blood sugar spikes and crashes. So being consistent helps our blood sugar be consistent, which helps our A1C. So how food affects our blood sugar. So when we talk about a balanced diet, we want to include all of these things that I have listed up here. Carbohydrates are the biggest impact. Protein helps slow digestion, fat adds fullness, and fiber also releases steady energy. And when we have all these things together, balanced meal. So simple versus complex carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates is a structure made of 1 or 2 molecules. Digestion, so it's broken down and absorbed quickly. Because it's such a small, like 1 or 2 molecules, our body just digests it. And this can cause a blood sugar spike, especially if consuming by itself. So say you go home, you're snacking on some pretzels. I've done that. We don't want to snack on just carbs. We want to maybe have a yogurt with it, or have a yogurt drink, or cottage cheese, a cheese stick, hard-boiled egg. Any type of protein we want to have with our carbohydrates. And complex carbs are the preferable carb choice. They're made of long, complex chains of sugar molecules, and they're broken down more slowly, which is a gradual release of energy. I'm so used to doing that. Natural versus added sugars. Added sugars we want to limit. I have a fun story. It's not fun, but I would make coffee every day, right? Who uses Coffee Mate? So I use Coffee Mate. There is a lot of added sugar in there, even if you're doing a serving size. And my sugars would just be pretty high, like during the day. So taking that out of my diet, it did help. Not just that alone, but being aware of the things that I'm eating and making sure I'm not having too much added sugar, it helped my sugar, my overall blood sugar. So these sugars that are added to foods during processing, and it's like soft drinks, candies, cookies, like any processed foods really. Natural sugars, so these are going to be sugars found naturally in foods, fruits, grains, dairy. Dairy is the lactose, and fructose is in the fruits. So the power of fiber. Whenever I talk about carbs, we want to have protein and fiber. Carbs, protein, fiber. That's your takeaway from today. So again, we want to slow our digestion because that's really important with the release of blood, like with our blood sugars. Fiber increases fullness, so it helps us not want to snack on other things. It also supports heart and gut health and regularity. I just put some examples here. So high fiber foods are berry, oats, beans, lentils, whole wheat, we should be eating vegetables, but so the berries, I want to include this because they're lower in, like you could have more for a carb serving versus other fruit. And there's fiber in it also. So adding some protein in there, you have a smart snack. And I have some examples coming up too. Protein. Carbs digest slowly like we just talked about, so, and especially refined carbs, which leads to faster release of glucose into our bloodstream. So adding protein, because it takes longer to digest, will help the carbs take longer to digest. And that will create a steady release of energy. Pairing protein and carbs supports more stable post-meal blood sugars. I just put some examples. So my fun fact, rice and beans are considered a complete protein. They have all the amino acids in them, so they can be a great meal. So healthy fats in diabetes, again, helps slow digestion, which helps promote steady blood sugar. That's the theme for today. We want to make sure that our blood sugars aren't going way up or going way down. Fats increase satisfaction and reduce cravings. And I just put something in there about portion control that they can add up. I think it's like around 30% of like your daily value. So I can't like give you a goal for fat, but looking for unsaturated fats, replacing the saturated fats are important. Saturated fat can leave to heart disease and all kinds of bad things. So making little swaps can be effective. And there's some listed here. So other foods like nut butters, nuts and seeds, they have other things in them too. They have fiber, protein. So just looking for, yeah.
Where's sesame oil?
Sorry.
Where is sesame oil? Which side is it on?
I'm not sure. I'm not positive. I will look into that for you.
So the question was, where does sesame oil fall on there? It would be under the liquid oil,
Well, is it saturated versus unsaturated?
but sesame, I believe, is unsaturated, but we'd have to find out for
Yeah.
you for sure.
Yeah. I'll look into it for you.
Yeah, I don't want to give you the wrong answer off the top
Yeah.
of my head. It's not coming to me. But when you were talking about carbs really quick, how they break down fast. So when I think of the carbs, you know, I mentioned my daughter earlier to a few of you. So I always bring her up because I can easily pick on her and she's not going to get mad at me. But she's a carboholic and she's in a lot of sports, and it makes sense because she'll load up on something and then be able to utilize those carbs for
Absolutely,
energy
yep.
for the sport activity, which makes sense, right? They do pasta dinners and they do team breakfast with pancakes and things to get them all jazzed up and ready to go.
Yeah.
The downside to that is if they have too much, then you're going to have have a
Crash.
crash after. You're going to fall off the cliff.
Yep.
And she looks at me sometimes. I'm like, yeah, it hit you, didn't it?
Oh, thank you.
Unsaturated.
We love a fact check. Yeah.
Hold on. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Mr. Josh.
I need him to follow me around to do that. And I just included something about GLP-1. So just to be aware, if you go on a GLP-1 or you know anybody on a GLP-1, please have them see a dietitian. It can really affect your appetite, and a lot of people get malnourished. And there's some symptoms that come along with GLP-1s, like nausea. It's like Mounjaro, Ozempic, those type of things.
It's the big fad right now.
Yes.
It's coming to an end because a lot of the insurance companies aren't covering it for fat loss anymore. Even though it works, it's kind of a sad conundrum. There's not enough long-term data to support what they do to you long-term. They do know they work in the short term. So, but because of that short-term fad, now you can get them from the HIM site, you can get them from Canada, you can get them.
I don't like that, yes.
There's
Please
so
don't buy
many
things
ways to
online.
get them.
Medication, don't buy medication.
But we just
online.
don't know. And what it does is it maintains your blood sugar level constant. And we think it like tricks the pancreas a little bit. And it's like, what is the long-term effect going to be once you come off? We know the research that they do have, we know that after 4 months of stopping, the weight comes right back. So that's why, to her point, it's really critical if you are prescribed a GLP-1 for diabetes or for fat loss, you should be consulting with a registered dietitian or a nutritionist because they're the ones that are going to keep you.
Yes, and a lot of the time, the 4 months after is because we didn't implement good eating habits while we were on the GLP-1. And then you get off of it, you're hungry again, and then it's fair game. I'm actually on Mounjaro for my type 2 diabetes. I got my A1C down from 7.4 to 4.8, which is crazy to me. So it does work, but making sure that we're eating and staying hydrated is really important. And please go see a dietitian. Because if I wasn't a dietitian, I don't know if I would know that. And then you get sick, and if you're not eating, you feel sicker, and it just...
Even with our own Griffin faculty practice, our primary care doctors, we implemented a workflow that says, okay, if you're going to come to us for a GLP-1 prescription, these are the deliverables you have to do. One of them is we give them a prescription to the dietitian, which is covered in many cases by your insurance.
Yes.
Up to 6 visits.
Especially if you have diabetes or chronic
Especially
illness.
if you have diabetes. And we also give you a prescription is to work with one of our exercise physiologists for a couple sessions to understand a basic exercise routine. And then the third thing, we don't really force, but we really strongly encourage that you do one of our classes that we have at the center for, living healthy with diabetes, living healthy to prevent diabetes. We have a weight loss toolkit, different classes that are free to the community. But again, the whole goal is to institute some type of lifestyle change behavior.
Yes.
So that 4 months, if it happens, it doesn't hit you like a truck and all of a sudden all your weight comes back on and,
We'll see when I go off of it. So this is the diabetes plate method. Have you guys heard of like the normal plate method? It's pretty much the same, but we just want to make sure that we're really taking in the amount of carbs we should. I should have included a label reading slide, but when we look at the label, we want to look how many carbs and then the serving. And if we're doubling the serving, we want to double the carbs. If we're doing half the serving, do half the carbs. So half our plate is going to be non-starchy vegetables. This could be like broccoli, cabbage, a lot of the things that we have here today, like carrots, peppers, like all of those are non-starchy vegetables. Carrots get a bad rep, but they're a non-starchy vegetable. Quarter of our plate is going to be protein, and then a quarter of our plate is going to be carbohydrate. So so there's one serving of carb is 15 grams, and I'm going to use that one serving over the next couple slides. But each meal should be about 3 to 5 servings. It depends on your height and weight. So for me, I should be doing 3 servings per meal, so that's about 45 grams of carb. And I'm trying to think of examples of that, but I can't. But just measuring out and not counting, but just being consistent with your carbohydrate intake. And anything we do, we just want to be better than we were yesterday, right? And just take it one day at a time. Because it can be hard when we're starting out fresh with diabetes, and it's a lot. It can be a lot to take in, but just going simple and just looking at this plate can be helpful. NovoCare, I have their thing at the end, but it's a really great source, and so is the American Diabetes Association. They're a really great source. They have a lot of recipes on there too. So smart snacking. Even with snacks, we want to pair carbs with protein and fiber as much as we can, right? And I just put some examples up here. So snacks, we want to keep it to 1 to 2 carb servings, so 15 to 30, depending on the person. Usually 1 serving of carbohydrate. I like to have a cheese stick with like a rice cake. Like, it doesn't have to be anything elaborate, but just making sure that we're being consistent with our carbs. Low blood sugar, like we talked about earlier. This could be caused by missing a meal, taking too much insulin, or taking insulin and missing a meal, or that's why I say wait till you get to the table before we take our insulin. Taking other diabetes medications can cause low blood sugar, being more physically active than usual, and drinking alcohol. Michael?
Oh, my little slide I entered. So I almost forgot I put this in there. So, we have a lot of people that are afraid to exercise too much because they feel like it's going to lower their blood sugar too much. And we actually encourage exercise for a number of reasons, but specifically, when we have people that are diabetics or pre-diabetics, specifically pre-diabetes, right? So your blood sugar is in that 5.8 to 6.3 range. It's critically important that you get on an exercise regimen because you can actually turn that around to prevent you from going into full-blown diabetes. Once those genes are turned on and you become diabetic, you're going to be a diabetic. You're going to be a controlled diabetic, we would like to think, but you're going to have diabetes, a chronic disease process now. We love to get these people before they become diabetics to really help them because, for example, we have a glucagon program at Griffin where you work one-on-one with a trainer for an hour once a week. We take your blood sugar before the class, and before the class I mean it's just an exercise session, and the reduction in your blood sugar from a half hour of moderate activity is tremendous. So just think of that, when you exercise, your muscles are pulling that sugar molecule out of your bloodstream and using it for energy, which is kind of what you want. It's normal walking, exercise, something that gets your heart rate going, that requires those muscles to really pull nutrients. That's what you want. Improves blood sugar levels, it boosts your overall fitness, helps you manage your weight because you're putting on skeletal muscle, reducing some of the fat adipose tissue, which in turn lowers your risk of heart disease and stroke, which there's a direct correlation with people that are diabetic that also have heart disease and are more prone to having a stroke. And then, of course, it improves your well-being. When we exercise, you release endorphins, those enkephalins, those feel-good hormones and things that we get from our brain, and it actually improves your stamina and improves your lifestyle. So I wanted to throw a little bit about exercise. There's so many different options for exercise, basic walking, cycling, taking some weights, body weight activities, swimming. Not many of us have access to a pool, but the point is something aerobic that's going to get your heart rate going. We work at the hospital, and there are some nurses that say, but I'm on my feet for 12 hours a day.
Your body gets used to that.
Right. You at some point, it's like if I gave you a 2-pound dumbbell and I said curl 2 pounds, initially you're like, oh, after 10 I could feel it. At some point, that 2 pounds is going to do nothing for you. So you would increase to 4 or 5. With someone who gets acclimated to a normal on your feet routine, that's not really getting your heart rate going to a point where it's actually helping you at this. Now, sure, it's helping circulation. Your muscles are getting a challenge there because you're using them to walk, but at the same time, you need something that's going to promote a change in that heart rate level that gets your blood pumping. So we always encourage 30 minutes of something during the day. It could be a quicker walk. It could be just a body weight exercise. You're doing some squats at your desk chair. Different things that get your heart rate going up and down as opposed to that steady trend, okay? If you're living in that heart rate of like 70 to 90, it's okay, but there should be peaks where it gets up to like 110, 120, 125, and then ramps down and up because it's challenging you and increases circulation, puts a strain on the heart, which helps promote that blood flow. So thank you for reminding me of that slide.
You're welcome. So takeaway message, it's a little wordy, but I think everything in here is important. It sums up the presentation pretty well. So small steps are a big impact. Consistency with meals and carbs support steady blood sugars. Small daily choices, so balanced plates and smart snacks, add up over time. I always say progress over perfection, right? Celebrate every win, because it's hard to eat perfect like at every meal. So living your life and finding ways to incorporate a carb consistent diet are obtainable. You could look up restaurants before you go, see what they are. When you sit down at the table and you order, you can ask for a to-go container to put half away, save it for later, or a quarter, depending on how many carbs are in it. Because I'm a snacker. Like, I'll sit there the rest of my meal and just eat the rest of it, even if I'm not hungry. What?
I think the TV screen's having a seizure.
Oh, that's
Nope,
not good.
it looks better now.
Okay. I was like, what's going on?
As you were getting excited with the clicker, I thought the screen was going on and off, but it had nothing to do with you.
So by being consistent with our carbs, it supports our whole body. Balanced eating nourishes energy, mood, digestion, and immunity. Stable blood sugars help protect our heart, kidneys, nerves, and eyes. Diabetes is the leading cause of kidney disease, so uncontrolled diabetes will lead to kidney disease. So the functions of our kidneys won't work as well, and so extra sugar in our blood. I heard this.
It damages the organs within the kidney
Yes.
itself.
A coworker told me this analogy. So picture a chair in a sandstorm, right? At first it's okay, but over time it starts breaking away at it. And that's what sugar does to our body and our blood. So just making sure we're consistent and keeping our blood sugars stable is really important. Pairing protein and fiber with carbs supports long-term metabolic health. And staying motivated, set simple, realistic goals, one habit at a time. I'll give an example. I was not eating breakfast with the Manjaro, so now I make sure to have a shake and a little snack, like a little bit of carbs, because the shake doesn't have any carbs in it, in the morning. And I've been consistent with that, and then I added other goals in. And it's easier to obtain one at a time versus trying to change your whole life in a week. Lean on your support system, healthcare team, family, community. Mike was talking about a lot of the community offerings that Griffin has. Take them up on it. They're great. Meet people who are in the same situation as you or similar situations. Just getting support can be really helpful. Remember, you're building a lifestyle that supports your health. These are the sources I was talking about. So the American Diabetes Association, they have their own website. I forget what it's called, but it's like full of recipes. You can filter it to what you want. This recipe is actually from their website today. And per serving, it's like 36 grams of carb, which is about 2 servings of carb. So you can have maybe 2 servings of this meal. So just That's how I want you guys to look at things, okay? And NovoCare is also really good. Should I keep it on there?
No, nice job. That was good. No, leave that on. That's great.
Okay.
Josh is going to put the recipe on for people at home to could see
Okay.
it. So, one of the things just to bring it about is, we went through this SNAP benefit crisis, and because of where Griffin's located, we had a lot of people that were struggling in the community. And one of the things that Griffin does is we partnered with Team. Some of you may be familiar with Team. They're a not-for-profit organization out of Ansonia. We were able to help supply food to this local soup kitchens for people that were struggling. Now I know those benefits have been restored for the most part, but for around 2 or 3 weeks, our community health workers were getting dire phone calls. I have $10 left for the rest of the month. I have $18 left for the rest of the month. So what Griffin did, they partnered with Team, and we buy wholesale food from Bizzuto's. And we have a loading dock in Seymour where an 18-wheeler from Bizzuto's comes and drops pallets of food off. And what we do is members from Griffin and Team, we break those pallets down into individual pallets based on where the which soup kitchen is going to come pick it up. And we volunteer our time and we go load up their cars. And it's not that they're getting the real sugary, starchy, leftover stuff from like Panera and some of the bakeries, which is traditionally what you would see in these soup kitchens and these food pantries. It was really not healthy food. We made a commitment to try to get them things that are healthier. Canned vegetables, good fresh produce. Katie Poole, who you've seen do presentations with us, she did a gleaning project where they went to the farms and picked up all the leftover squash and stuff. And we dropped them off to the soup kitchen. So there's a lot that was happening in the background, and it just coincides with our mission, which is really to educate the community on healthier eating, healthier lifestyles, and you can actually have fun doing it, right? Be creative in the kitchen, which Chef Mike is going to definitely talk about right now. Are you going to add a little citrus somewhere in here? Of course. Yes. Okay. So that's my one-liner to him with the citrus. Okay. So I'm going to switch it over now and let Chef Mike Rizzio take over.
Nice seeing everybody again. So today we're going to do like a pretty simple recipe, a little like stir fry. So we're going to replace like the carbs of what noodles would be or what rice. I think so. Yeah. So instead of a noodle or rice, we're going to do a spaghetti squash kind of imitation. Is everybody familiar with spaghetti squash? Has anybody not cooked spaghetti squash? Okay. Oh, all right. So, whole, right? Big yellow. Forget about the brown because I've already cooked it, but this is a spaghetti squash. So we split it open. There's seeds inside, just like any of your other winter squashes. Just scoop them out. All right. Put them onto a sheet pan and put a little bit of oil, a little olive oil on it. You can do salt, pepper, or anything like that if you want. Put in a 400-degree oven. For this recipe, you can kind of see all the grains, or all the strands, I should say. So 400-degree oven. Something this size takes about a half an hour to 40 minutes. All right, for this, because when we're eating healthy, sometimes people think it's like boring. So I try to tell everybody it's really about textures, it's really about the flavors and adding a citrus or adding some sort of spice that you like to keep things interesting for your palate. And this is that point. So the spaghetti squash, we actually want to undercook it just a little bit. That way all the strands will stay intact. And then we're also going to cook it a second time in the pan when we kind of do the stir fry part of it. So you'll get crispy, crunchy, but the spaghetti squash will be completely cooked. So the big pan, there are quite a few people, but it also serves a purpose. It kind of I wanted you guys to think of surface area and keeping the pan hot as we're adding more things into the pan. We've all had like bad stir fries or bad Chinese food that's like soup, right? And part of that has to do with the surface area of the pan with the amount of product that we're putting into it. So it might start out as a hot pan and we're putting things in, and as we're putting more, the temperature of the pan starts cooling down. So now when you have your your small saute pan at home, you know, something like this size, but we're trying to do a portion for 4 people, that ends up being a lot of product in one pan, and your pan will not stay hot. So surface area, use a larger size saute pan, and that product it'll get that caramelization on it, the pan will stay hot, and it's just the same kind of thing as like a wok, you know, for anybody who has a wok at home. So really simply, spaghetti squash goes into the oven about 40 minutes, and when you take it out, I actually just use slotted spoon, something like that. And if anybody's scooped an avocado before, it's kind of the very same. Just go around the outside, and the whole thing just pops right out. So, and as you can see, this is the strands that I'm kind of talking about. If you overcook spaghetti squash, it will just turn into like a mush. So if you're doing a butternut or you're doing an acorn, and you kind of get that mashed potato effect, if you do cook this long enough, that's what it turns into. So for this recipe, I like to make sure that I can pull them apart and they just kind of look like noodles, right? So it gives that effect. So we get a pan nice and hot. Today we're going to use a little bit of oil. So we're trying to think about healthy fats and things like that. So avocado oil would be a great thing for here. We're cooking at a high temperature, and that has a high smoke point. So as you can see, the pan is hot. I'm also adding a little bit of sesame oil. And we're gonna go right in with our vegetables. So today we're doing green and red peppers. It might spit at you a little bit, so don't be afraid. And at the same time, some carrots.
Those look pretty evenly chopped up.
Yeah, so
Does that take you a long time?
No, so not at all, right? So it's all about your confidence with a knife, but at the same time, it's just cut everything into manageable pieces. So I think a lot of people are used to cutting a pepper like this. You go top down. Skin side up is not necessarily the best way, because the skin has that kind of waxy thing. So flip the pepper over, and instead of cutting it the long way, I cut it the short way. And this is the part that becomes like, get used to using a knife and all that stuff that I do for a living. So it's just practice and practice and practice.
Mike, too easy.
Right? So when you cut the peppers on the short way, it also speeds up the cooking process. Right? So the smaller the pieces, the faster they'll cook. Now, if you're doing this and you want to have it for multiple meals, you're going to put it in the fridge for the next day. Instead of cutting them in strips, you know, maybe we cube it up. You're going to take it to work in a Tupperware or something like that, and microwave it. This size would be better for a reheat. It's going to still have a little bit of crunch. So again, we're not like eating leftovers and it's soggy or mushy, and it's still going to have a little crunch to it. And at lunchtime, you're not going to be like, I should have got what was in the cafeteria at lunch today. So again, we can go really, really high heat. Don't be afraid if you start seeing a little bit of the, you know, what we call the fond, the little scrape in the bottom, the little bits and pieces. Just let it cook nice and hot. Veggies go first, and then I add the garlic after, right? We don't want to burn our garlic, so let your vegetables cook, release some of their natural water. And this is the part right here. I don't know if you guys can actually hear it, but it kind of sounds like boiling water almost, right? So the natural waters of the vegetables are coming out, right?
If someone wants to come see it, they could too.
So where we at?
Right there, yeah, they can see it.
Right. So here, this is where the caramelization is starting. And if you guys see here, there's still, that's not just oil. That's some of the water from. So this is the part where it's keep the heat nice and hot. Otherwise, the thing starts boiling. All the veggies start boiling. That's when you lose the crunch, right? This recipe is also great for any of those leftovers that you have in the fridge. Actually, so any of those veggies, any of the greens that you have. So today we're using a little bit of cabbage. Now cabbage is like 90% water, so this is where I turn my stove all the way up. Get the pan as hot as possible. I also like to make a little spot in the middle. And just add your cabbage in.
Michael, we have a question from a Sharon
Okay.
out in the audience, and she's asking, she goes, I love to use avocado oil. Is there another comparable oil besides olive oil?
Besides olive oil. Comparable to avocado?
Like with,
Compared to olive oil?
I think with a healthier oil with a higher smoke point.
Sure. So everything is like, a lot of the nut oils, look at the nutritions on the back, really. Some of the nut oils are better for you, right? When we're talking about saturated, unsaturated fats, things like that. And the nut oils are going to be generally a lot healthier for you than canola oil, the pure vegetable oil that's made with soybeans and things like that. Avocado oil is probably going to be the best one, but there's flaxseed oil, there's sunflower oil.
I've heard a lot of coconut oil being used now
Coconut
too.
oil, definitely. And there's a lot of people, you know, in the profession that talk about tallow, beef tallow, right? So if you do that, or you have access to that, or even something like ghee, right, where it's taken out all of the lactic acids and all of, you know, the butter solids and all of that, and it's just pure. So then we talk about that and say it's all about portion control, things like that. Even the sesame oil, I use some of that in here, and that wasn't just for flavors. It's a healthier oil than using,
Yeah.
you know.
Becca, if you're still available, would you have a suggestion? We have someone reaching out that's asking another comparable oil besides avocado that has a higher smoke point to use for cooking instead of olive oil. So Mike was trying to stay away from the canola oil.
Yeah.
He was thinking of the seed oils.
Personally, I don't feel anything about seed oils. Canola is an unsaturated fat. I use it in my cooking.
Okay.
I think it's a good option. Or you could mix olive oil and canola oil
How
to like
about
bring up the heat.
rapeseed oil or coconut oil?
So coconut oil does have some saturated fat, but using it in moderation.
Okay.
I'm not sure about grapeseed oil though.
Okay. So, Sharon, I see you answered. Thanks. I hope that was helpful. Please send any more questions, and we will try to answer them live for you.
All right, so the veggies are cooked, right? We cut them thin so they're going to cook a lot quicker. So nice and hot heat. I still have this on completely as high as the stove will let me. So veggies are in. Now I go with the protein. So this can be, it's chicken today. It could be shrimp. It could be any of the fishes you like. It could be tofu if you like. For the chicken, the recipe that you guys have in front of you, it says the chicken's raw. Right? So by all means, that is completely fine. What I would do is I would cook off the chicken first in the same pan. I would cook the chicken, get a nice color on it, and then I would pull it out of the pan, put it to the side, and then add my veggies in, continue the process, and add them back in. You know, for this, and if it's something that you guys are thinking about meal prepping, where you're doing a bunch of chicken in different ways throughout the week, do it this way. Season your chicken ahead of time on Sunday or Monday, break it out into, we julienned it today, but if you wanted to dice it or anything like that, that's fine. And now you have it ready, and you're going to do this on the fly at home in less than an hour. And the big part here is, again, high heat. High heat. We've all had cabbage, like grandma's cabbage, that's just like wilted and boiled and things like that. That's what we're not trying to do. So really, really high heat for a stir fry, or for trying to keep the little crunch in it. So now we've added everything. We're going to do just a little salt and pepper to taste. There is soy sauce in this recipe, so that's something to keep in mind. Low sodium soy sauce, best way to go. So we're just gonna add a little soy sauce. This is also gonna help deglaze the pan. So any of those flavors that have kind of stuck to the pan, this is gonna help release them right off. And don't be afraid to scrape the bottom there. And at this point, we can kind of turn this off. So soy sauce is the base of this. If you do like sesame oil, right now I would just kind of finish it, and it would just give that little fresh pop of sesame right at the end. That's also going to go with just a little fresh cilantro that we're going to put right into it. This is a micro cilantro, so the regular cilantro is completely fine that you see at every supermarket. For me, this is something I would add peanuts into also. I like that crunch. Again, it's about a palate thing, texture. You get a little crunch. There you go. Thank you, Becca. Peanuts, like chopped peanuts. Or even we're talking about portion control, right? So it's not like you can't have things. So if you like the little crunchy Chinese, the Chinese noodles, you know, this also something. It's about portion control. So right now you can add them, or when you're plating up, you just put a few on top. And again, texture keeps the palate alive, and you're not like dreading eating. I'm gonna garnish this with some limes. I don't know if everybody likes it or not, but this is also something right now, again, a fresh pop. Cilantro goes in at the end, lime goes in at the end, and it's a nice thing. So at this point, if I'm cooking at home for myself and I'm just doing the one plate, I would add the spaghetti squash right in now and just flip, 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 in 30 seconds you're done, right? For this, I'm actually going to serve it on the side because we're feeding so many people. A little spaghetti squash on the bottom, and then you get some of the vegetables and protein on top of that. And for the final one is a little rice vinegar. I like the acid right at the end. Again, it gives kind of just a little pop in the mouth flavor-wise. Does anybody have any questions about that? I know that was kind of quick. Can you substitute the rice?
Rice vinegar?
Yeah, absolutely. For your thing, you can omit it completely.
Okay.
So this is something like, so vinegars and acid are the same kind of thing. So if you like lime juice, just add straight lime juice, or orange juice, grapefruit juice, anything like that, or any other acid. If you want just lemon, if that's your thing, lemon would be a substitute for that also.
I'm in the way now.
What do you need? Can I get it for you? The roll-ups. Didn't we bring a box? Yeah, okay.
So before we end our live Facebook session, does anyone else have any questions for Becca or Chef Mike? They're gonna still be here, so you can ask afterwards. So your question was around liquid protein. Okay. And say it again, the rowback. So let me defer to Becca because I'm not familiar with rowback. Hey Becca, quick question. Are you familiar with rowback? It's a place where you can get protein drinks.
Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, whether good or bad, I mean, it depends on like what they're using for the protein, right? So like you can go to smoothie places and get a micronized whey protein, or you can get like an isopure liquid protein, which is a concentrate. It all depends on what you're looking for, but it would be hard to say because we don't know the quality of what they're using.
What was your question?
Oh, about is it a good place to go for protein drinks?
Oh, do they say specifically they're putting protein in it?
Yes.
Do they tell you an amount? No? Okay. Potentially it could be. I would look on their website. They probably have like the nutrition facts on there and just see how much, because a lot of those smoothies, it's more, even though it's natural carbs, it's still concentrated carbs. But making sure there's protein in there is important.
And you know the per sitting amount of protein, you know, you don't want to go over 40 grams of protein. I mean,
Yeah.
because then you're gonna, depending on the kind of protein, some people can tolerate it, but others it may make you feel a little bloated, full, a little like ugh type feeling. So
I think your body can only like digest a certain amount of protein at a time anyway. So like, some people go extreme. They're like, I eat 200 grams of protein a day. And I'm like, okay. But like 20 to 30 would be okay if you're trying to replace a meal.
Yes.
That would be around where I would want you to be. Yeah.
does that answer, Carol?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right.
I have a question.
Yes.
Soy sauce, you said low sodium soy sauce you use. I often substitute mine for liquid aminos. Is there any benefit
Sure.
to that?
Yeah, the dietitian would probably be the better person, but person asked that question. But liquid aminos, absolutely.
So the question was substituting liquid aminos as opposed to a low sodium
Oh, like the
soy.
Well, like, soy sauce as opposed
I don't know a lot about them, but if you have like a brand, I can look it up and see like what's in
to
it.
bread. No, maybe.
It's, yeah.
I will tell you that at home, for like stir fries and for the fried like cauliflower rice and things like that, my girlfriend has absolutely introduced that, and that's just now a thing that we do all the time. Is liquid aminos into everything, and the flavor, just the flavor difference. Forget about the health benefits.
So
but
like your liquid
it's
aminos,
like-
your branched chain amino acids, those are important for muscle protein, muscle synthesis. You're gonna get them in just about everything. So while Becca's looking that up for her, is there any other questions before we close out? So I want to thank everyone for tuning in live. Hopefully we answered the questions that we needed to. We are gonna kind of close out our session at the Center for Healthy Living. Those of you that are live in person will have a chance to taste what we have prepared tonight. Our next session, we are doing a feature for our kids, for the kids. If you have grandchildren, we're going to do Chef Mike Rizzio is going to be creating a healthy gingerbread cookie, and we're going to actually have them decorate it. So that'll be on December 11th, same time as always, our 5 o'clock time slot. So that'll be a Thursday. So keep us in mind. It is not on the website yet. Our marketing team will get it up there as soon as they can. But ideally, we would have, we're doing it for the kids to get them thinking of a little bit of a healthier option, because most of us don't associate a gingerbread man with a healthy option. So I'm not going to tell you what's in it. Mike has a special ingredient he wanted to put in it. So
Where should I tell them? Should I,
No.
should I leak it early?
don't tell them what it is.
Should I leak it? But listen, they're going to get to decorate gingerbread men and eat healthy at the same time,
Yeah.
and they're going to have no idea about it.
Exactly.
You know? So.
But we're going to sign off now. Thank you, everyone.